Robotic process automation, or RPA, is all about automating repetitive processes in our business. And repetitive and process are keywords here. And as part of this, we're using software bots, as we call them, and not actually human robots. So with RPA, what we're automating are tasks in a process that users perform in their GUI, their graphical user interface, or what you see on the screen. And we're often using little or no coding. This is different from automating back-end software tasks, for example, using something like Python. An example of what we could automate in RPA is inputting data in a form. We see the form in our GUI on our screen, and we can automate the steps we perform to fill that in. Before we go further, though, it's important to talk about what a process is, because this is what we're trying to automate as part of RPA. So in our businesses, we have processes and we have projects. A process is something that's ongoing. We pretty much repeat it the same way every time. Projects are temporary, though. They don't last forever. An example of a process might be to ship orders. We pretty much do it the same way every time. With a project, though, like building a website, that's temporary. We don't do that every day. And businesses have lots of processes, like shipping orders, handling complaints, repairing equipment, cleaning facilities, and so on. And for RPA, to automate a process, it should be repetitive and stable. It shouldn't be changing all the time. Now let's take a minute, though, and talk a little bit further about what steps in a process can actually be automated. So RPA can capture clicks, keystrokes, and other things happening on our computer screen. And what that could look like, or some of the tasks that could include, are things like opening email and attachments, logging into applications, moving files and folders, filling in forms, and so on. And you might be looking at this list and thinking, this is pretty mundane stuff, and that's kind of the point, to push that off onto these software bots. Now here's an example. We'd use RPA to monitor our email for invoices, then to extract data from those invoices and enter that data into our accounting software. We could use RPA to automate these steps. Okay, so what are some of the benefits of RPA? Why should we actually use it? So we can use RPA to save money. There's fewer resources required to do the same work. Also to reduce errors, because humans tend to make more mistakes than these bots might. Also to avoid unnecessary steps, so machines only perform the tasks they're given. Sometimes as humans we do more than maybe is required. Also, these bots can work around the clock, and we can use RPA to improve morale, so our staff can do more meaningful, less monotonous work. Now you can think about it this way. So as a human, an employee at our company, we have work that's inspiring and enjoyable that we like to do. But there's also work that's boring and monotonous. Can we push that off to a bot and let the employee focus on things that matter to them, things that are more value added, and thus reduce some of the turnover we might see in our business? Now, one caution here about RPA is that before we automate our processes, we should try to understand and improve them. So at every process, we've got waste. Those are things that do not add value for the end customer. And so, for example, does our process include more approvals than are necessary? That's waste that maybe we could eliminate from the process. We'd like to do that before we automate. So it's better to eliminate steps than to automate them. And we can use process mapping to help us understand and improve those processes. Mapping our processes is a good exercise before we try to automate them. And as a note here, there's this related field of process mining, which sometimes gets talked about with RPA. And those tools can help us auto-generate process maps and kind of investigate some of the issues the process has. And these will show us the as-is process where it is today. And what we want to try to do is get it to a better improved to-be state, or where we want it to be, before we consider automating it using RPA. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, you can subscribe below. And if you're interested in other analytics cheat sheets and resources, you can find them over at codybaldwin.com.